meeting of the Cleveland City Council to our 3 p.m. voting session. It is 3:16. I will call this meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mayor Brooks.
Here.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Here.
Councilman Estes.
Here.
Councilman Cassidy.
Here.
Councilman May.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilman Webb.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. As is our tradition, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I have asked our Vice Mayor, Avery Johnson, to please give the invocation following our pledge. Please stand. Salute and pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Mayor.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you once again, Lord, for another day and for watching over our community, the city with spirit. We just pray, Lord, that you continue to be with us and be in the midst of our meeting and give us wisdom and insight to do things that are pleasing and acceptable in thy sight. And bless our children that are in the school system, and bless all the employees of the city of Cleveland. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for that invocation today. And the next item on the agenda is to waive the reading of the minutes from our last regular session, which was Monday, September the 11th, and that does require a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move the City Council of the City of Cleveland waive the reading of the minutes of the regular session of the City Council held on September 11th and approve them as read.
Second. That's a proper motion by Vice Mayor Johnson, properly seconded by Councilman May. Any comments, questions, or discussions? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman May. Aye. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Estes. Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. The next item on the agenda is item number 5, special presentations and public comments. The only public comment or special presentation that is on the agenda for our 3 o'clock session is a request by Mrs. King for the NAACP to be added to the 3 o'clock work session, regular session. Mr. Armstrong, if you will, although we heard from you at the 1 o'clock, if you will state your name for the 3 o'clock record, and Mr. Johnson, I'll ask for you to follow up following Mr. Armstrong.
Yes, Lawrence Armstrong, President of the Bradley County NAACP.
I'm still, would like for us to, as members in the committee, to get together, because there's still some things that, in my mind, that are just not clear. And I feel like we can work that out in the committee and come back with a recommendation to the council. And, if you're still not got the information you need and still not satisfied, we can work that out. Because everybody will have a better understanding of what all specific items and everything that's on the list. We'll get a chance to kind of work that out. But so far as leaving the city manager out of the process, I just don't think that we need to do that. Because we're the one that votes. The city manager doesn't vote. And we need to discuss this among those so everybody that does vote have a clear understanding of what the issues are. That's where I'm at, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to make a motion that we really get together as a committee and meet with Mr. Armstrong and whoever else that Lawrence has got that wants to meet with us. But there are certain members of the council here that I know you've already talked to. I have no problem with any of those members serving on the committee. That's my recommendation, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to put that in form for motion.
All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor. That is a proper motion. It would require a second for it to be voted on. We can have further discussion then. Certainly. All right, Vice Mayor Johnson, that motion does fail for lack of a second. I can say that within your motion was the recommendation for there to be a meeting between Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Fivas. And I believe that meeting, Mr. Fivas has accepted that, that he will, and that would not require a motion or a second or a vote from this council to move forward with that. Is that acceptable for you, Vice Mayor? Mr. Armstrong?
With the city attorney present. And I state that with the city attorney present.
Let me, I don't care to attend, but let me tell you, it would be better if one of you did, because for this reason. My job is to give you legal advice. I will not be able to answer other people's questions. People call me all the time and ask me questions they have relative to the city. I can't do that. I'm here to give you legal advice.
But John, if you attend the meeting, you would be able to quote the law.
I can read what a policy says, certainly. Okay?
I
But
think that would be important.
if you want me to be there, I'm glad to do it. I just want you to know I can't give legal advice to private citizens. That wouldn't be appropriate. So if they have questions of me, I can't give those answers.
I understand.
And then I have a question. If more than one member of the council attends,
That's right. More than one member of the council would then be an open meeting. Even though there's no official action, you would have to advertise it and invite the media. They have a right to be there if there's more than one there.
so Mr. Armstrong, would you agree to the following: Mr. Fivas, Mr. Kimball, Vice Mayor Johnson, as the maker of this motion, and yourself in the meeting, because there cannot be more than one voting member of this council.
Agreed. With that being said, also just to put clarity to the situation, the purpose of the recusal, me standing before you asking for that, is to put clarity around the NAACP received several personnel complaints. These complaints were targeted towards Mr. Joe Fivas. In order to find resolution to these complaints, we need Joe Fivas to be out of the process. We just need to get the information. Now, mind you, as I'm standing here as the NAACP, there's only one African-American complaint. There are many others that are not African-American. So I'm saying to you that this issue is bigger than just when I'm standing before you at this moment. I may not be addressing this issue properly, as Bill mentioned, Councilman Estes mentioned earlier. This may be not the proper platform to go to, but the documents that we need or the documents that need to be requested may have to go through another open records request, or however that may be. But just to give you a snapshot, there's accusations of city leadership being biased and unfair treatment, policy of hiring new employees not being followed by the city manager, the city manager not being trustworthy, making false statements, and being very passive aggressive. Realigning of city employees without any HR input, causing hostile work environments. These were the issues that were brought before the NAACP. I did not want to disclose a lot of this information that are in-house, what I call in-house dirty laundry. I'm standing before you trying to resolve these things without getting into the details of it. So now that we're here, wherever we like to go from here, we'll take it there. But I'm saying to you all that without the recusal of the city manager part of this process, it's not going to get any better for the city of Cleveland. So I'm open to whatever the recommendation is of the city council. However, I am making you all aware of the allegations and things that are taking place. And again, these are just not from the minority community. I'm just telling you there's several complaints, and we're just trying to address those concerns, and that's why I'm before you.
Mayor,
Councilman?
Mr. Armstrong, your organization, thank you. I'm encouraged that if these allegations are against someone, I'm encouraged that that person would be in the room.
So,
Mr. Fivas, if you're saying it's about Mr. Fivas, I'm encouraged that he's going to be in the room. I'm encouraged that you are amenable to Vice Mayor Johnson joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Any other comments or questions from the council?
Mayor, I
Yes,
want to add
Councilman
some clarity
Cassidy.
on this thing too.
Yes, sir.
With Mr. Armstrong brought me out of the meeting. He did call me. He did come out and speak to me in my office, and there was some discussion. There was, when we got to discussion of the personnel issues, I told him I couldn't talk about those. That is, that'd be Mr. Privis, and we had a good discussion out there. Other than that kind of my part in this. So, thank you.
All right. I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Fivas, sorry. I got my glasses on, I can't see you without.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting together. I'm 100% supportive of that, and that's why I called Mr. Armstrong. I want to correct a couple things. The meeting that was canceled was because I had a domestic abuse issue with my sister, and that's why we didn't meet before. But I think most importantly is if there's ever any concerns from any employee, we deal with that on a daily basis. We are always happy and willing to try to resolve those issues. And I look forward to working with Mr. Armstrong to get to the bottom of what some of the concerns are, and I think we're making progress, and appreciate bringing these issues to our attention. And that was my attempt to try to meet with them before, and obviously it didn't happen. But now it sounds like we're back on track, and appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Fivas. That will conclude item number 5. Item number 6 on the agenda is hearing petitions and communications. There are none from 3 o'clock. Item number 7 is our consent agenda, which was presented to the council last week. We've had a number of days to review it. The only change is item E as in Edward, Mr. Fivas, was removed from the consent calendar as presented to the council.
Correct.
So zoning ordinance 2023-41 is not on the consent calendar. It was removed at the request of Mr. Fivas. That means we're back on the consent agenda, and that does require a motion from the council.
So,
Proper
second
motion?
and a question. Mr. Fivas, the scissor lift for IT, can other parts of the city use the scissor lift? Because I could see, that's not just for IT, right?
Oh, no, they can
Okay.
only, no, I was going to be facetious. It will, the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
It just, the way it's written, you know,
We share, we
possession is
share,
90% of the consent agenda.
yeah, we share information, quite honestly. So,
I'm glad you cleared that up, Bill.
So that's a proper motion by Councilman May, properly
Yeah,
seconded by
exactly.
Councilman Estes. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Councilman Estes,
All
Councilman Cassada,
Aye.
Councilman Hughes,
Aye.
Councilman Webb, Vice Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
That carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item number 8 is unfinished business, of which there is none. Takes us to item number 9, which is reports from council members. We begin today with Councilman Cassada, District 3.
Mayor, I have one comment that the meeting in our community, third district, went very well. And I appreciate Beverly and Joe and the staff, everybody that was there participating. And we couldn't do it without our departments and how our city works. Another thing too, our nature park walk is being cleaned out today and stuff. They're working on it. I saw them by there. They got a lot of out there blowing that down and stuff. So everything in third district is good. And I'm hoping for a report from Jim Sharp's park next meeting. Is that right, Joe?
yes.
Jim Sharp park. So we're looking forward to that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman May. Oh, congratulations, Councilman Cassada, on your new disc golf course in your district.
Well, I appreciate that. You
Councilman,
couldn't do that without the vision of Justin coming to us. I mean, people give us credit for our vision, but it's really the public, I will say that comes to us. And let me say this too, for the Jim Sharp Park, I'm gonna go ahead and say this now, I was gonna wait, but I'll do this. In Overbrook, there's a Mr. Bennett who was there, he was an Air Force in the Air Force. And I remember in 2016, when I walked the whole district, the 3rd district, I walked and got on the front porch, and he made one comment to me. He said, Tom, he said, do you understand there's not a park in the 3rd district, a playground park? And I sat there and thought to myself, I said, you know, I said, Stuart, he said, it's not in our district. I wasn't a councilman at that time. And it's people like that inspire us as council to move the city forward. It's just not us, it's people who live in those communities. So Mr. Bennett, he will be at the groundbreaking on that park, and it's a good story, it really is. And you know, I took my kids to Deer Park. We had a lot of picnics there, we had a lot of good things, a lot of good memories, and hopefully the 3rd district will have a park now that they can take their kids and keep us in our community, not put all the traffic on the road and come and stay in our community. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman May.
You know, Mayor, the only thing I've got, Joe, that traffic situation at Sullivan's Way, Julian Drive, I hope we can kind of speed that up and give them some.
Beverly, did you get their numbers?
No.
Are they here?
I have the contact information.
Okay, good. We got it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Councilman Hughes? Thank you, sir. Councilman Webb?
Yes, sir. Chris, would you put the picture up on the screen, please? We talked a lot this morning while we were at Fletcher Park about the new disc golf course. And we talked a lot about quality of life issues. And as I was leaving there, this is Chad Payne and his children. And Chad is a participant in disc golf. And he had his children with him at Fletcher Park this morning. And I asked his permission to show this picture this afternoon. But I think this kind of tells what it's all about when we talk about quality of life issues in the city of Cleveland. Here's a young man, 2 young children. I don't know how much he used Fletcher Park before there was a disc golf course, but he's very enthusiastic about it now. And Justin's already gone, but I want to thank the volunteers that worked out there and my colleagues here on the council for the support that they gave to the disc golf course at Fletcher Park. And this is an example of a young family that has an opportunity now to participate in something together.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes, Mayor. The wetlands, Joe, that off of where the old Rolling Hills Golf Course used to be, I had got a call on it, and they would like to know, you know, how often are they going to, or can somebody come out and mow on the inside of the walkway that goes around, because some of it's been grown out and almost over it, the walkway, and people having to go and step off into the grass just to keep going. At least that's what I'm told in some places. So we need to get somebody to check that out, Tommy.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah, I may have got the same call, may have been different. I've talked to them a couple times. Our park staff went out and partially did what they could. I've talked to Tommy Myers, and there's some overgrowth that we're going to bring some heavier equipment out there. And this is a good time because it's been so dry. To answer your question is yes, that's in the process.
Good, very good.
Vice Mayor, I did ride by there today, and they were out there mowing it with a boom, mowing it down on the inside like you're asking.
I think that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman McKenzie? Thank you, Madam. Councilman Estes?
Yeah, I'll be quick. Joe, thanks for looping me in with the soccer stuff and the different, just as it's moving forward, this is great. I know that you're used to the bond. I know those texts were going around. Thanks a lot. There were so many people out there last weekend. I didn't know your grandson played. Sometimes there's no parking. You know, it's just a real asset. Chief Gibson, I love seeing the extra police coverage at school crossings right now. You know, there's just so much more traffic. I see it at Candy's Creek, Cherokee, and I see it at Mayfield. Sometimes I see an extra officer at patrol car just stop there. It really helps. So there's so many walkers now at Mayfield, not just Arnold, so I really appreciate that. To my colleagues, if, I got a tour of the old First Tennessee building and seeing exactly who's going where in the building. They haven't hired a contractor yet, but it made sense, it was encouraging. It is a radical game changer for the city schools, and so I'm just so positive.
Weren't they already having their school board meetings there?
I don't know.
Yes, they have one.
Did they have one?
Yeah.
I think they.
So I didn't ask them about a CEO, okay, so I'm gonna say that publicly, out loud. And the last thing is, yeah, tomorrow night at the library, 6 o'clock, we have thumbprint cookies from Village Bake Shop if you come. I'd love for all of you to
That's
be
where they're
there.
at.
I know that Councilman Webb and Councilman Johnson also represent the second district, so you think they might. Yeah.
No pressure.
That's all, Mayor, thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. That concludes our reports from city council members. Item number 10 is new business. I'm trying to rush because we have a pot roast in the crock pot in the audience. So. Our first item on new business is discussion promotion for Tee It Up for the Troops event on November the 11th to authorize the Cleveland Beer Board to issue a special occasion beer permit. Mr. Smith, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you, City Council, thank you. May I approach the council with some information that I have relative to this? I represent Tee It Up for the Troops. I'm also a resident here in Cleveland. My name is Micah Smith, and I'm organizing a fundraiser on Veterans Day in association with Tee It Up for the Troops. Just to give you a little background here, so that the relevant background so you understand what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get a special beer permit for a special occasion. And the reason we are asking for that is because on Veterans Day we're doing a fundraiser that supports veterans. Just to make it relevant, I myself am a veteran. I served 23 years in the United States Army as a quartermaster officer, and I'm an OIF combat veteran. I've also received some disability associated with my service. So I understand the veteran community, and that's who I'm representing as well, besides Tee It Up for the Troops. Tee It Up for the Troops is a nationwide organization that focuses mainly on golf tournaments. And their mission is to help disabled veterans and veterans at large get the services they need after they come home from the service. Nationwide, they have donated over $15 million to organizations that help support housing and homelessness veterans, employment, golf and sports rehabilitation, suicide prevention, PTSD and traumatic brain injury, and family and caregiving. So that's their main focus. They also reunite veterans who served in combat together. They've done that for over 400 veterans since 2011, and just that fellowship and socialization in itself is very therapeutic for us veterans. And I won't go into the logo here, but getting into a little more details on Veterans Day celebration, we're trying to close down First Street between Church and Parker Street. So we would like to close that down. I'm sure that's a separate permit. But along with that, we're going to have music and hopefully some micro brew sampling upon your approval. And this is going to happen on the 11th of November from 2 to 7 p.m. And our audience obviously is going to be the public and veterans, and do a social mingle there, so to speak. And the purpose of it is to honor veterans and service members and celebrate their dedication to our country. The other purpose is to bring the community together to celebrate our freedom. And the third purpose is to support the cost of the golf tournament that we will be doing on Armed Forces Day next year. And so basically this will be a fundraiser where there's a cover charge. The people who participate will have a souvenir beer mug, and the proceeds from this, like I said, will go to supporting the overhead costs of the golf tournament on Armed Forces Day 2024.
Mr. Kimball, what kind of motion does this take from this body?
The reason they're here, Councilman Estes, this and the next item is back in 13, the council created a special occasion beer permit. So it's a temporary permit for various, in a nutshell, not everybody can get one. A legitimate charity or can get one. The reason they're here is because it's on public property. Otherwise, it can't. The beer board cannot issue that without y'all's blessing if there's going to be anything on public property.
Mayor, I move for a special beer permit for this specific day.
What you would actually be doing? I'm sorry, I didn't answer your
I was
question.
trying to get the motion.
The motion would be just to authorize the beer board to issue the permit for First Street, provided they do everything else required by the code.
So moved, Mayor.
Second. Motion by Councilman Estes, seconded by Councilman May. Are there any other comments or questions from the council?
Mayor, I've got a couple comments.
Councilman Cassidy.
I know we got a special permit and stuff, but did y'all approach the city or anything, like National Hops that's on here, or the press, or the museum, to have this event that has a beer permit? Did y'all approach them with this? Because
Yes, Councilman, we did. The problem there is that I think we would be pushing the fire code as far as capacity.
fire code, what do you mean?
Occupancy.
Occupancy? They got outside grounds at the museum. They had beer things out there before and festivals and stuff. Is that something that would fit that criteria?
Quite honestly, I didn't know they did that. In that large capacity.
I don't mind this special permit at times. I do, I really do. And I believe me, I support the veterans. I really do. And when you open this Pandora box, you'll have everybody else come before us to do this. And you got our businesses downtown like National Hops Press, Catch, the museum that does go through these processes that are our heartbeat. And I'm afraid that down the road we'll have more and more of these, which will hurt those businesses. I really do. I think it's going to hurt those businesses. And in saying that too, I'm going to make a donation to you for $100 right here on the spot for your commitment, showing that I am committed to your cause on that. The golf tournament earns a lot of money, but can you do that without alcohol? Is that possible to do on First Street without alcohol? Because you're going to have kids, grandparents there, parents there with kids and stuff, and trying to monitor that. It's just, I'm just asking a question. If people want to give to that, I don't think alcohol has to be a part of that, does it?
Yes, Mr. Councilman. So this is, I'm representing a larger organization that already has a model for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't have the liberty to change their policies or their models on how they raise money.
Yeah.
They are a 501c3. They're well recognized. I don't have that sort of influence.
Right. But at the same time, I'm just thinking out loud, is this, I mean, you got Chattanooga, you got the Provee. They have food trucks and beer and stuff they sell down there. They got certain things that are nominated. When we start opening this thing up for public area, then we'll have First Street opened up. You know, First Street, we have Friday night concerts there, is that right? We have that, and there's no alcohol allowed in that pavilion on that part. If you wanted something, you have to go to Catch and eat it within there. area on that part. So I'm just worried about, what worries me too is like UT football. Let me give you an example. Everybody's on the UT football game. And when they start serving beer, which is fine, I don't know they're gonna have another revenue. And Ross, I see you back there, I'm not picking on anything on that part. It's just, it sets a criteria for the ball game where it's not, they get out of hand sometimes, and it's not nice, it's not good for young kids to hear foul language and stuff. I'm not saying that something's gonna happen here, but something always gets out of hand when alcohol's involved and too much is consumed on that part. And I just, you know, I wanna be cautious about that, especially for our public and our people who are Bible believers on the side. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I understand what you're doing, but could it be done with Cokes and things like that instead of a tasting on that part? Is that something that could be done? Or go with, I don't know, some of these other communities, they might be able to actually help you proceeds or something. Some of the sales go towards your proceeds, and they're licensed to do that. They're right there, backs up onto yours, so you wouldn't hold this event.
Well, I'm a Bradley County resident, and I want to stay focused on Bradley County's veterans.
Right, and I do too. Believe me, I give them a refund, and I support them totally, wholeheartedly on that part. But I just don't know if alcohol is the thing to bring in when you got in the community, open street.
If you go to the the second to last page, Foam of the Brave is the model that Tee It Up for the Troops uses for the initial fundraising. And it is, it's not only focused on beer or alcohol, there's also food and entertainment goes along with it.
That's what I'm saying, can beer be excluded from this?
I can't do that.
They were asking for it, can you not?
This is a model that Tee It Up for the Troops has. That Foam of the Brave logo is all part of their corporate fundraising pillars, so to speak.
I can't tell you, Mr. Kester, we do have a motion and we do have a second.
I understand, but I want to make sure my point was clear, because if I don't vote the same way, that I want to make sure that
It was the second by Councilman May.
yeah, I've got Ross, I'd like to recognize Ross too, Ross Harmon.
Sure.
Ross.
Mr. Smith, and then I'll have a closing comment.
I'm Ross Tarver. I'm with Tarver Distributing. Been a beer wholesaler here for 61 years. Family was raised here, and raised my children here. This gentleman called me here a few days ago, stopped by my office and asked our involvement in it. And of course, we're not going to ever be involved in anything that gets out of control. No one's more concerned about underage drinking or overconsumption more than me. Presents a black eye on what I do as a living. And but let me say this. I feel like I've been involved in some of the growth of Cleveland. As Cleveland continues to change, everybody on this council probably has seen some of the growth that we've had, and obviously with growth, we have to all be responsible. I'm 100% committed to that. I do think you can serve alcohol. I think more and more of our residents, as we grow as a community, are expecting things like this. We have some huge plans for downtown development, residential development. We have residents that actually can walk to First Street. We're talking about Main Street, Cleveland. You're talking about wonderful things that's happening in our downtown community. I do think more of these kind of activities are going to be expected of our community. I would much rather have young people who want to live here, who have things in entertainment they can go and enjoy here downtown, rather than you have to be forced to go to Chattanooga to do the same thing. You're almost in walking distance to some of the apartment development. And I think, again, that's really all I've got to say. I'm just getting to know these folks. Obviously, it's veterans, you know, we're all in, veterans and first responders. So I just ask for your all support. And I think there's more things to come too for our community. And I think anybody who knows me knows if I'm going to be involved, it's going to be done the right way. You know, whether it's, you know, using wristbands to prevent underage drinking or limiting the number of servings someone can have at an event like this.
Thank you, Mr. Tarver. Thank you for what you do for our community.
Ross, I appreciate that. You're a dear friend. I appreciate your comments on that part. But you know, again, downtown businesses struggle a lot of times to keep their businesses open. And this does take away a little bit from the downtown.
And I'll speak to that, Mr. Cassidy,
Yes, sir.
just for a moment. I can't speak to this event because I don't know the organizer, but the next event we're about to vote on is actually partnering with downtown businesses,
Are they?
Nash and Hop and the press,
Okay.
for their event. So there is a model where this is not only working,
Okay.
but it will actually encourage downtown business and encourage downtown consumption.
You will have to take it. I'm
I
not gonna let you leave.
can't take donations at this time.
Officer, can you escort? I'm gonna ask you to pass that to him.
I can't-
Whoever he needs to go to, okay?
Councilman Webb has got a question, Councilman?
I just had a question about the procedure. Are we voting to issue the permit?
No, sir.
Or to allow the beer board
We
to
are-
issue the
We
permit?
are
latter.
going to authorize the Cleveland.
Because they still have to,
They still have to go through.
they have to
their-
go through that process. This, if it's gonna be on public property at all, it starts here. The beer board can't issue it without your blessing. So if you say it's okay, then they've gotta follow the process in the code and go to the beer board.
That's what I wanted to be sure of.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Correct. Good question.
Mayor, I have a question.
Councilwoman McKenzie?
We're talking about downtown, but if we approve this, then this would open it up to have this type of event anywhere in the city limits. Is that right?
It would if you decide you want to allow it. Let me tell you this, if y'all are concerned about this issue, this was adopted years ago,
2013.
modeled after several cities who have the exact same thing. We didn't have a permit for this, so we created it. These two were the first time anybody has come and asked for public property, but it's always been in there, okay? If after these two, you don't feel this is a good idea, that part can be removed and it would just never be allowed except on private property. That would be up to the council. But this is modeled after what every other city has, and they place this type of decision-making in your legislative body so your beer board doesn't just give it out without your blessing.
Correct.
That's why it's in there.
Councilman Hughes, you had a question?
Well, this is a vote of yes or no, right?
Correct. Authorizing the Cleveland Beer Board to issue.
I agree with Mr. Cassida that we have some very nice restaurants downtown. We could have the eating and the partying downtown in the streets, and then they could purchase their spirits from one of our restaurants. That's what I would like.
So we have a motion on the tee it up for the troops from Councilman Estes. It's been properly seconded by Councilman May. There has been hearty discussion.
Well, I'm not going to amend, I'm just going to vote.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes? Aye. Councilman May?
Aye.
Councilman Cassida?
Aye.
Councilman Hughes?
No.
Councilman Webb?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie?
No.
Carries 5-2.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Thanks, Mr. Smith. Next item on the agenda is item B, discussion of Witches Wine Spirit Stroll event, October 28th. It is this similar action authorizing the Cleveland Beer Board to issue a special occasion beer permit. Although we know you are a famous celebrity here in our town. Could you
No,
please,
not quite, not
Could you
quite.
please identify yourself?
I'm Chrissy Goza, And I'm welcome to be here before you with a fund request and not something maybe as serious as some of the things we've discussed today. But Beth Fennell at the press approached me about a fundraiser that was on her heart for breast cancer. I'm a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, 4 years, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and October is also when Halloween is, which happens to be Beth's favorite holiday and my favorite holiday. So we decided, we got together with Angie at Indigo, Michael Portcatch, Rob McGowan, who's here from Mash and Hops, and we decided we were going to have a contained party kind of between Indigo, Mash and Hops, and Press. We could contain it in that area. The issue that I have is that sometimes, and we are planning on blocking that street off from First to Church, and we're going to have fencing up that really narrows down that area right there in front of there, and we're going to have entertainment. The issue that I came across is many times when we have streets blocked downtown, and you have people at the restaurants and maybe Indigo's doors up, people sometimes wander around with their cup, which creates an illegal situation where you have an open container in a cup on a city street. And so I approached Mr. Favas, and I copied Mayor Brooks on that email as well, and said, is there a way that we could actually, in this contained area, that we are going to have a ticketed event fundraiser, that people could legally walk out on the street in this very contained area and enjoy the band. I just want to do things properly without anybody getting in trouble. And he met with Mr. Kimball, and they got back with me, and we had several meetings over the phone about it, and in which they asked this Baptist girl to come before this board and ask for a special occasion beer permit, and my mother is so proud today, I know. But I also don't know if you've seen the actual permit, but in it I had to sign over the rights to my child, and I've got a copy of my passport, my birth certificate, and as always, if you do something downtown, you have to get Sharon Marr, who has nothing else to do in October but to help me with this fundraiser. So needless to say, here I am asking for this beer permit. I will tell you the proceeds this year, it's the inaugural year of this event, and the proceeds are going to go to the Mary Ellen Locher Breast Clinic and Foundation Scholarship they have. That Mary Ellen Locher mammogram mobile unit, the mammogram bus, comes to Bradley County multiple times a year and gives screenings to people that either can't afford screenings or don't have access to proper screenings. And then they have a scholarship that is awarded to breast cancer survivors' children, and my daughter was the recipient of that scholarship for 3 years, so I'm very thankful to them. So today, I respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Goza. Yes, we do. So moved. That's a proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilman Webb. Is there any other discussions or questions? We've heard explanation.
Yeah. Ms. Goza, let me make this.
Do I get $100?
As a citizen, as a community, I should be able to give money to a church.
Oh, I'm taking it.
Tim, that was your...
It's our first $100. It's our first deposit.
Well, in there, I tell you, Steve Hartline, I did a thing at Cleveland High School. We did a few years back, and it was for breast cancer. My mom's a survivor of breast cancer, and it's very dear to my heart. And we did a shootout at high school, and Cleveland High School was so nice. The money we raised, and the money they get for their gate, they raised almost like $6,000 and gave it to that charity. We went out and made a fool of ourselves, I should say, at the high school game. We shooting free throws, and I don't think any of us made it on that part. But I think I had a pink wig on too, so you get the pictures out there, you can see that. But you are working with our community people that are doing it. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I really do appreciate that, because that means the world to them. to get them involved, because their business is their livelihood too. So, but, I would,
One more.
Councilman Estes?
Robert, thank you for your beer line. I mean, that got a lot of publicity, same kind of thing, not for a cause, but for bringing publicity downtown, people downtown, beer line, Terra. That was, I know that had to be inside premises because.
That's right, they did.
And that was, you worked with them, you worked with the city, that was great. So, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for this as well. That's all I have, thanks.
All right, we've got a proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilman Webb. We've had foamy discussion.
Yeah.
Mr.
Money
Clerk,
exchange.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
By votes.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Councilman Webb,
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy. Councilman Cassidy,
Yes.
aye.
Councilman Hughes,
No.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie,
No.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Carries 5-2.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes and takes us to item number 11 on the agenda, which is announcements. We have the city offices will be closed Monday, October the 9th, 2023, in observance of Columbus Day. And the next city council meeting will be held on Monday, October 23rd, 2023.
I'd like to announce that my community meeting will be on October the 19th. Since we don't have a meeting on the 19th, we'll not have an opportunity to
Certainly.
mention that, and the 23rd will be after it. So, and it will
October
be
19, and remind us of the location.
Cleveland Museum.
Cleveland Museum,
7 o'clock.
District 1 Town Hall meeting. Thank you, Councilman. Any other announcements from the council? Seeing none?